Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the Spider-Man movie Retrospective. Today we're going to be talking about the Amazing Spider-Man Duology. What did I hit? I'm sure it's probably fine. Anyway, so I'm hoping I'm going to make this one a little bit short. We're only talking about 2 movies here, not a trilogy and not like the lots of movies the MCU Spider-Man's in. So I'm going to try and keep it like quick and short because I also want to get this out before the movie comes out, which is literally this week. So we'll see if I luck out on that. In the meantime, though, let's just get started. So I don't exactly have the strongest opinions for the Amazing Spider-Man duology, but you know, they're still fair to watch and appreciate. You know, if you guys like if this is your if this is your favorite Spider-Man series, you know, more power to you. It's not mine. And I'll get into that when I get into the movies. But for right now, starting with Amazing Spider-Man 1, I'm going to start, again, like what I did with Spider-Man 3, and just generally everything. I'm going to start with what I like. So what did I like? First things first, I do like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I don't really tend to hate any actor that plays Spider-Man. I think everyone does a very good job. Especially as far as live action, I tend to like all 3 Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland. I guess if I had to choose a favorite, I probably would say Tom Holland. I'll get more into that once we go into those movies. But every Spider-Man, I believe, is great. They have their own strengths, including this one. One of the big things is he's a lot more jokey than, say, Tobey Maguire was. So that's a pretty big plus. There's one thing I very much appreciate. I appreciate his kind of accent. You know, him and Tom Holland even has this a little bit too. Has an accent that I can, associate with New York City. I don't live very far from New York City myself. I've been there for years. I know how it is. Even when I get angry, I have a bit of an accent myself because I have been brought up a few years in the Bronx. So I can say that, yeah, I do appreciate that little accent. It's not something I necessarily need for Peter. The everyman kind of accent that Tobey Maguire has is completely fine. But it's a little tidbit that I appreciate. I do very much dig that. And Andrew Garfield very much has that. I like the web shooters. I really like having, mechanical web shooters. I appreciate that. This is probably this is one of the 2 Spider-Man movies where you see Spider-Man make his suit. The other one is Far From Home, but again, we'll get into that later, but you do see him make his suit in this movie. I love Emma Stone. She's a great Gwen Stacy. I think her Gwen Stacy is fantastic. I think that's great. They have both very good chemistry, something they keep with both these movies. I think that's great. And what else do I like? No, that's I can't say I hate this movie. I don't, but I'm having a hard time thinking about what I liked about it. But what I would say is it's not the worst Spider-Man movie. But I wouldn't say it's the best either. My 2 favorite scenes. Let me get into that. So my 2 favorite scenes. The first one is when he talks to the kid on the bridge after fighting the lizard. The one he saves at the in the car. I think that's a very nice scene. I appreciate him trying to bring his humanity and trying to save this little kid. I like that scene. I think it's a very good scene. The second one, I don't even know if I can equate this as a scene, but the almost invisible evolution of Peter's relationship with the Flash in this movie. The Flash, as if it's the Flash, no, not the superhero, the Flash Thompson. Because he's obviously the bully at the start. He's kind of a dick. But after what happens with Uncle Med happens, he actually goes up to Peter and says sorry and everything. And then by the end, he's hugging him in the back and saying, having a Spider-Man shirt and the dude's crazy. It is really the beautiful relationship we all missed on. You know what I mean? It's this cool friendship that somehow kind of evolves, but it's really in the background, which kind of sucks. I don't know. I wish it would have been more. I mean, we'll get into friendships in this series, but I kind of feel like there could have been a friendship there. But anyway, so let me get into it. One of the things about this, going into the fact of friendships, is this Peter feels like more of a cool dude. He has a hipster skater boy look, really cool. I wouldn't say he's very nerdy. Which, I'm not going to negate, everyone has their own way of playing Peter, and that's fine, but, he has more of that kind of aesthetic. Despite the fact that, similar to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, nobody seems to like him. I don't know. I feel like there's a way to do invisibility without just somehow people just not really paying attention, like without people really paying attention or liking him. I thought it was kind of interesting that nobody really likes this guy, even though he's just generally cool. He does pictures for the school newspaper, semi-stocks Gwen, which is a little weird. No, I'm not going to deny that. But I digress. I appreciate the relationship between Peter and his aunt and uncle in this as well. They're a little more fleshed out. They're in the movie a lot longer, so until obviously what is destined to happen, which is fine. But what else can I really say about it? It's hard. I almost have no opinions on this movie. The lizard is fine. His look is a man lizard. It's not really much to it. I understand they chose it obviously because they're not going to like retread on the bad guys that were in the last movie series. So do someone different. The whole undertones that the Oscorp in general is the main bad guy is totally fine. It's very Ultimate Spider-Man. That tends to be the situation in that as well. But I don't know. Generally speaking, what did I find uncomfortable with this movie? I found this movie a little uncomfortable in certain aspects. Here's a big one. I mean, first things first. The whole Uncle Ben death. Given the fact that we have a movie that's about a decade old at this time when it comes out, the other one was 2002, this was 2012. We have something to compare it to. So first off, the guy, generally speaking, did not seem like a guy to me that would just immediately shoot a guy. I know he just had a gun, and it was just out in the open, which, for some reason, instead of just running away and maybe calling the police, Uncle Ben tries and be the tough man and stop the guy with a gun in the middle of the street. That's really like the least safe thing you could ever do if you do not have spider powers. And there's a dude with a gun. No wonder you freaking got shot, dude. Why would you do this? Especially, again, the guys seem generally chill. Like Peter is trying to get a thing of milk. The guy's kind of a douchebag. But as the guy robs the place, which is not cool, and this is... Why am I defending this? This guy's a total robber and just kills Uncle Ben, but he still gives Peter his milk. It's not even the least you could do. The least you could do is just not rob a store. But he's a thief with a kind of a heart of, I'm not gonna say gold, copper. Copper's a good one. Yeah. But then he just shoots Uncle Ben, and then you never see this guy again. Peter does not really get that kind of catharsis. He doesn't have like that incredible fast murder streak that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man did. Granted, it was kind of it's a different situation. Uncle Ben was already kind of dying and about to die, and they already had the guy in tow because that guy robbed stole a car, versus this version. But I don't know, there's something really cathartic about seeing him essentially get that vengeance, but realize it is his fault entirely. This Peter does realize it is his fault, but he never really finds the guy, and maybe there's something there about you're never going to get that closure, but you just got to deal with it. And that's fine, but it's not my preference, especially considering the fact that what this Peter does is essentially profile the same type of looking man, a dude with dirty, long, blonde hair and sunglasses. Just every single one in New York, and he's just profiling all of them. It's even weird that one of the cops say that most of his victims, I don't know, I forgot what he said, but most of the people that he catches are criminals, meaning that there might be a few that aren't, which I kind of think about. It's just kind of, especially when Captain Stacy says, this guy goes around and takes out the same dude that looked the same guy. I'm like, that is really awkward. I'm not going to lie to you. Again, I kind of feel like, I say he's jokey, but I also probably would attest that he's actually a bit more of a jerk. He just seems a little bit more rude, I guess. Which again, more Ultimate Spider-Man-like, but I don't know. I wasn't really feeling it. This is more an opinion-based thing. I wouldn't say I hate it. I have a lot more points with Amazing Spider-Man 2, but this one is kind of just, it's kind of middling. It's average. There's not really much to it. I wouldn't say it's amazing. I'd say it's average. One of the biggest key things about this is this was advertised as, the story that's never been told. Things that never been, it's never been seen before, despite the fact that it's essentially. It's very similar to just the first Raimi Spider-Man movie, almost in some cases beat for beat. And you know, like, I guess the untold story is the fact that you see Peter's parents in the beginning and never again throughout this movie. You know, which, you know, if you want to flesh that out, flesh that out. But I know especially Sony meddled with these two Spider-Man movies, and it really shows, more so in the next one. But this one, another issue that I have, well, I guess it's not an issue, but it's something that I've noticed with these two movies is Gwen is smarter than Peter, but to like an upteenth degree. Like, Gwen almost solves the entire thing. She's the one that has to make the compound, to give it to Peter, to put into the big blast thing at the end. Shaft? No, that's wrong. But, you know, what I'm saying is that's, you know, I feel like she has a tendency to solve the problem when Peter can. And that happens again in the next one. We'll get into that. But yeah, I just, this one's average to me. I don't know what to tell you. You know, like, I can see it again, but I don't really know if I want to. You know what I mean? It doesn't make me feel much of anything. Excitement, anger, just, it's fine. It's fine. You know, at this point, one of the big things about it was that this was really close for Spider-Man to be in the MCU. Like, a lot of the idea was that this version of Spider-Man was going to join the MCU. Like, I don't remember if it was Oscorp Tower almost being the Avengers movie or the Avengers Tower almost being in this movie. But one of those was going to happen, and it didn't because it was just too late. I assume that's why that there are a bunch of convenient cranes in Midtown, given that that's exactly where, you know, the Avengers movie took place and the battle happened. But yeah, so, you know, that's kind of what happened. And I know they were kind of pining for it, but, you know, it just kind of never seemed to stick, essentially. So, but anyway, let me just move on to the next one, because I kind of feel like I have a lot more points in this one. So, Amazing Spider-Man 2. What do I like about it? I'm joking. There are stuff I like about it. Again, Andrew Garfield and Gwen Stacy and Emma Stone have, you know, great chemistry. Yeah, that chemistry is great. Again, Andrew Garfield, funny, great Spider-Man. His suit's great. I love this suit. I feel like it might be my favorite suit out of all of them, although it feels like kind of just a remix of the original Raimi suit, but still works. Still a great looking suit. I don't know how I really made it compared to the first one, but, you know, I guess we don't really need that explanation. It's a nice looking suit. Really dig it. I love the big eyes, very Ultimate Spider-Man-esque again. I love the colors of the movie, very vibrant colors, I'd say. Is there anything else that I like about it? No. Where do I begin? I feel like the first half hour there's a good Spider-Man movie in there. You know, like, he's just kind of doing his thing, like, is fighting a lot of these big crimes, montage, swinging around. The swings are great. The swing scenes are fantastic. Like that they start with in this one. Really solid stuff. Very good swinging. I thought that, like, you know, it looked really fun. Very, like, the momentum was there. It was really, really great swing scenes. I guess that would be one of my favorite scenes in that one. So yeah, I'll say that. So that's one of my favorite scenes. My other favorite scene is actually a deleted scene. Yeah, you've probably seen it go around. There's a deleted scene, if you haven't seen it, look it up, where it turns out Peter's dad is alive. And after what happens with Gwen happens, that's when Peter's dad meets him. And it's kind of this big emotional scene, and also just very different, which I kind of like. The more I think about it, the more I realize that's actually really cool. You know, like, differentiate this Spider-Man with others. Like, I wish they kept that in. I wish that was a big part of it, because I would have been very interested to see what happened. Unfortunately, like I said, it was a deleted scene, so that just, so likely that it's not the canon, you know. But it was a very good scene, a very emotional scene. Both actors, especially Andrew Garfield, did great with that scene. So I couldn't help but say that that's my favorite scene in the movie. Now going into it. This had a very similar issue to that of Spider-Man 3, in that there's way too many villains. Like, even the poster that you see, like, it has a showcase. There's Electro, there's Green Goblin. I know I put that in quotes. I'll tell you why in a bit. And then there's Rhino, who literally shows up for the last 2 minutes. Like, he and Alexei shows up in the movie in the beginning. You know, it's like the first thing that Peter does. But the Rhino doesn't show up till the end, which was really annoying. Like, it was a big part of the trailer. I remember seeing that all the time, and he was literally in it for like 2 minutes at the end. You don't even see the fight. It just ends. Then there's Electro. Electro's kind of the main villain, essentially, besides Oscorp in general. Again, Oscorp's always going to be the main continuing villain here. He's weird. He's like big loser energy, like hyper super nerd. Like I kind of made the joke that because of like how cool Peter tends to look in this movie series, like he's just like, he looks like a cool guy, doesn't really look like stereotypical nerd at all. All that energy had to go somewhere. It literally went into this guy. Poor Jamie Foxx had to look like this before he turned into Blue Man, before he turned into PG-13 Dr. Manhattan. I feel so bad for the guy. No one deserves this. No one. You know, he starts, Spider-Man saves him, so then he becomes obsessed, you know, he thinks they're friends and whatnot, gets the powers, goes into Times Square, and then that's when, you know, the conflict happens. And I hate it. I hate the conflict, because it just feels just out of nowhere. Like, it's essentially that Spider-Man's trying to calm him down, and it's almost working. Then some cop just, like, got trigger happy and shoots him when Electro trips and kind of electrocutes himself. Awesome. Electro throws electricity in that area, and Peter saves and Spider-Man saves another cop. And then like people start cheering, and all the cameras that were at Electro turn to Spider-Man. And somehow Electro blames Spider-Man for that. Do you see the button for him to switch the cameras to him? Like, he even goes, "You're so selfish. You set me up. You lied to me." I'm like, what? Maybe the "you set me up" part makes sense. How do the other two make sense? It's like a complete 180. I almost got whiplash from that. Like, I still feel it in my neck. Like, and then he's just full bad guy from there. That's it. He's just 100% full bad guy. That, you know, that he makes spider killing puns throughout the movie. And, you know, like I said, he eventually, like, becomes essentially Dr. Manhattan, even like reforms himself similar to that, only we don't see his electro rod. Sorry. And then there's Green Goblin, and I'll get into more of his scene when he shows up later anyway, but Green Goblin in this one is Harry and not Norman. Norman dies in this. And I suppose before I get into that, I should talk about Harry. I don't know why, like, literally 8 times out of 10, when Harry shows up in Spider-Man media, he is like the worst of the worst. He's a total dick. He's the best friend of Peter, but he might as well have a knife behind Peter's back at all times. Such a douchebag. He's like a total jerk. Like, just bad energy. And like, I love the actor. Dane DeHaan's great. You know, I think he's a great actor. Yeah, guys ever see Cure for Wellness? Check it out. Check out Chronicle. Great. But like, just bad energy, man. Bad energy. I know he's dying because, you know, he's dealing with the same thing that his father had. But he must think that he's going to die next week because, like, he's really, like, on the emergency thing. His dad was in his 50s, it looks like, or 60s maybe. But, you know, he lasted that long. So, I don't know, man. Like, just, you know, you figure it out, take your time. One of the big cruxes was that he wanted Spider-Man's blood for self-healing. Which, you know, for a lot of awkward, you know, situations, such as how there was a lizard before when a guy dealt with different DNA, and just because Spider-Man is like a successful outcome doesn't mean that's always going to be a successful outcome. No one really says that in words. It's usually no, you're not getting my blood because reasons, which, while valid, again, just you know, antagonizes Harry more. And then, like, when Spider-Man said no, I'm not going to say what he said at the end, but when Spider-Man said no, eventually that also meant that he's no longer friends with Peter somehow. I don't know where that scene was. That never happened. I never saw, like, Peter call him up like a half hour later. It's like, yo, man, that sucks, but I told you. It didn't happen. I don't get it. I don't get how friendships work in this movie. Two of these people said that they're friends, and then they're just not. I don't understand. But yeah, so ultimately this leads to Harry getting betrayed by Oscorp, and then like attacking Oscorp with Electro, going into the vault, getting the spider venom, which I guess was distracted by the same spider that bit Peter, so that he can use it on himself. Totally gonna work, right? Nope. Makes his disease worse. I guess, but also he's better. He just looks more like a goblin. The disease essentially makes him look more goblin-like. And then he gets into this super suit, essentially, which is this universe's version of a goblin suit, and it is hideous. You people sleep on the Green Goblin in 2002 because he looks like a Power Ranger. But did you see this? Did you see this design? I'm angry. It looks like he landed in a junkyard full of scraps and just came out of it. He was trying to make a Mark I Iron Man suit, and it just came out like that. I hate it. I don't like it. And I'll talk about that scene in a hot minute because I want to talk about Gwen and that whole situation. So yeah, Gwen. They keep going on and off because Peter at the last movie promised Captain Stacy, because even in his death he has to be protective to his daughter and tell him don't do the thing. So he does the thing, but then feels guilty every other week. So breaks up, comes back together. At the beginning of this, they kind of break up again, and Peter, because it's the right thing to do and the totally sane and cool and not horrifying to think about thing, is basically stalk Gwen for a month. They even have a hangout before the Electro scene, and he kind of admits that he's seen her. He follows her every day. I don't know if that's that romantic. I'd feel uncomfortable. I wouldn't know what to do. You have spider powers. You can lift a bus. I don't think I can run away from you. You apparently follow me everywhere. I'm good. I'm good. But yeah, so eventually they get back together again, and it's the whole will they, won't they? She might be going to London. But keep in mind, she also conveniently wears an outfit very similar to the same outfit where she dies. It's because she dies. She dies. I'm sorry to tell you. I don't know what gave it away. I don't know if I gave it away too early, but from the speech from the beginning of the movie to her outfit that she has to, when she hits her head at the end, she dies. Yep, she dies. Because she goes to help Peter take on Electro. Again, she solves the problem. Peter could not somehow figure out how to stop his webs from being electrified by Electro, and she's like, why don't you magnetize them? And he goes, because I didn't think of that. Dude, you're smart enough to make a web shooter. I think you could figure out maybe magnetization could, conduct electricity. I don't know, man. She literally just thought of it at a whim. I don't know. But anyway, then he tells her not to go. But she goes anyway because she's Gwen. She's gonna help out, which she does. But then obviously there's a big surprise. Green Goblin shows up, and the fight happens. Worst comes to worst, and then obviously it leads to Gwen's death. The scene was very well acted. Again, Andrew Garfield's anguish in that scene is very well done, very well created. But I don't know. It's very akin to the comic books, and I guess I do respect that. But I don't know. Now that we have stuff like Spider-Gwen and everything like that, I don't really need to see Gwen die anymore. I don't know if I ever did. Hell, she even died in the Ultimate Universe and eventually came back. It's by comic mess. I'm not gonna get into that. But yeah, so that was, again, it's fine. Comic accuracy, but I didn't really need to see it. Yeah, Harry just goes into a whole, but essentially plans this universe's version of the Sinister Six. This whole movie is just a preview of other potential movies. God, there's cameos for everything. You don't even see this version of J. Jonah Jameson. You see his angry email sending in one shot. You see Felicia Hardy, who's Black Cat, who's kind of an assistant in Oscorp. Obviously they were planning on something with that. Then the vault that I was talking about where Harry goes to is just the vault of preview. They have the Doc Ock arms. They have Vulture arms. That's where you get the Rhino suit. I'm like, man, I don't know what's Oscorp doing. They just have these. I guess you would think they'd be selling them on a black market or whatever, but they're just down there. That's just, again, it's just all this needing to do the setup but you're not focusing on the movie that's presently here. It reminds me too much of Batman v Superman. And if you guys seen my videos before, you know how much I hate that movie. So when I see it for Amazing Spider-Man 2, and when it came out, I really tried to like it. I really did. Again, I like the suit, I like the colors, I like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but I couldn't bring myself eventually to really like it. It's not a great movie. It's my least favorite Spider-Man movie. I hate it more than Spider-Man 3, and I did not like Spider-Man 3. You guys know that. But this movie was just not great, and it's a shame because it became such a mess that. I mean, it wasn't just that, but that was the end of this essentially series, and that's when we get Tom Holland as Spider-Man. But yeah, again, my opinion for these two movies are just that they're not my favorite. You saw me vent. They probably took 10 minutes just to vent about Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I just can't help myself. It's not a great movie. And that's how I feel. But again, I do very much enjoy Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I cannot stress that enough. I may not like these movies, but I do enjoy Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. But that's essentially it. I know you guys just spent a lot of time watching my opinion, but what are your opinions on the Amazing Spider-Man movies? Do you like them? Are they your favorite Spider-Man movies? Again, if that's so, that's completely fine. We're all allowed to have these opinions on movies. It's great, but. Let me know what you thought about it. If you didn't like it, tell me why. Next time, it's going to be the MCU Spider-Man. And that's a lot of movies. I'm not just going to be covering, his 2 movies, but, again, he has there's a whole story in there, and I'll get into that. And probably No Way Home as well. I don't think I'm going to have the MCU Spider-Man video out beforehand. So you're probably going to see my review of No Way Home in that. So look forward to that. And if you guys are seeing it this week, I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope I like it. I'm very excited. So anyway, until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Take care.